welcome to another segment of a new series that I got going on called We the People. And in this one, salute to all my Sagittarius out there, man. I think I got a birthday coming up in 2 days. 12/20/1980 was the day that I came to this wonderful place. And I guess every time you take your ring around the sun, you find yourself reflecting more and more. And since boxing is my passion, has been for some years now, I just been reflecting on the state of boxing and where we at right now. And I do find a lot of positive, like this weekend, a lot of positive, and also this weekend coming up. So this past weekend, this next weekend, the week before that, we've been getting just inundated with a lot of boxing, and along with that comes a lot of boxing topics. And I find myself in a dilemma these days, just trying to decipher what's going on, like how are the fans thinking, like, being more responsible with my knowledge of the boxing business and applying it to what I'm actually seeing, because a lot of the activity going on right now is kind of similar to wrestling. And I know I said that before, man. Try not to speak idle words, but I said that some time ago, man. WWE, WWF, and it's mainly because the topics surrounding boxing. And one of the biggest dilemmas or quagmires, if I could use such a word, in the sport right now is we don't keep the same energy with a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I always go back to Earl Spence, man, because that's one of my favorite fighters. And, he was one of the first ones that's who I associate with that phrase. Keep that same energy, in some of these talks, the subject of P.E.Ds come up. And I'm like, it's a very touchy subject because, you almost need to see paperwork. But really, when it comes across the news, the boxing world, and people are able to actually publish information, and it says such and such as, tested positive for X, Y, and Z, it's like everybody stops, and in a snapshot, in a glance, they'll just start, really determining how they feel about that fighter. And in that process, a lot of them be like, oh man, I knew it, just depending on their, their perspective on that fighter. Well, it was two fighters in the past year that actually popped up in this category. And I was like, man, two more of my fight, like two of the fighters that I had one of them in my intro, which was Connor Benn. And I had the other one in my, when I used to do women's boxing Wednesdays, and I was starting to get more and more to the women's boxing and really learn. I'm still into it. I just don't do the shows in the single videos form because everything else that's going on. And then it's just too controversial. I did a misogyny piece on women's boxing one time, and it got like 8 views. I don't even know how many views it got, but it was just like, okay, that's not my lane. Let me get out of it. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, I'm finding myself with a dilemma because as a hardcore and actually seeing the status, like, man, drug cheats, they don't make the list. You have people come out and say, my pound for pound will never have a drug cheat on there. You know what I'm saying? So, then the conversation of Canelo Alvarez come up. Well, that's the quickest way to actually see where somebody stands on P.E.D. use if you bring up the name Canelo Alvarez. So it's like, I once was hard on him about it. I said, let bygones be bygones. He's getting tested. There's been no more, adverse findings, so let me lay up off of him. Let me just judge him on what he's doing inside the ring and his level of competition. And that's pretty much how I've been keeping it with Canelo. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just going to keep going out of my way just to, take on somebody, So I was thinking about Connor Benn and AlyciaBaumgardner. And the conversation surrounding them two, man, we don't keep the same energy. Because Connor Benn, every time you bring him up, somebody bring up eggs and this and this and that. But every time you bring up Alycia, everybody talking about how beautiful she is. First of all, that equates to the piece I talked about, misogyny in women's boxing, which, you know, I mean, at this point in time, women know that they're attractive. The ones that's in boxing, they know, you know, and some of them actually use it to their advantage to advertise and to promote. And it's all good because it's just come along. It's just, you know, some styles, some of the women like to cover up and do this. Some of them like to come to the weigh-in looking, you know what I'm saying, like showing, showing more than what, you know, they need to, maybe, sometimes. But it's just a touchy matter. But when it comes to anybody in the sport using a substance that could give them an unfair competitive advantage over another one, it's like, we straddle the fence a lot. You know, I see a lot of people making leeway for Alycia, and I'm just like, man, I don't want to come off like a fanboy, because I'm like, man, we need to keep supporting, we need to drive. You know, I even wanted to do something on what's going on with her and Clarissa right now, because I have a lot of, you know, opinions on what's going on between them two. You know, and I really couldn't do it because it's like, man, people are going to sidetrack it with, yeah, if she's not popping hot, and it's like, okay, well, we can't banish her to darkness, but how long is the, you know? But then I look at what's going on with Connor Benn, and I was big on Connor Benn. I seen the growth when he fought that dude from Chicago. You know, he gave him kind of like a tough time, and Connor Benn wound up figuring it out. Then he came back and he did what he did to Christian Algieri, and I was just like, wow, because I had him on a crash collision course with Boots over in the States. I was like, man, that'll be because they would want to tear. Not that I believe, you know, I don't have any opinion on it now, but when I was looking at them at their prospective levels, and I was looking at the division, you know what I'm saying, and what was going on with Earl and Bud and the status of all the heavy hitters at the time, you know, I was seeing, okay, well, that's what's being built up as far as the marquee names. And so now I find myself not even really being able to talk about Connor Benn. One, he's not from the States, and then, you know, anytime you try to, you know, really go hard for somebody that's not from here, you know, people pull the nationalism card on you. But then when you do support them, and then it seems like you're going overboard and you spitting just straight facts, you know what I'm saying, it's like, oh man, you're a traitor. Like what happened with it's funny how it changed from T.O. when everybody was saying whatever they were saying for T.O., you know, when he was going over there to Kambosos, versus what everybody said about Devin when he was going over there for Kambosos. You know, and it was just different because the nationalism card came out hard then. I'm just like, man, hold on now. Let's really analyze this. But the point of the matter is, man, when it comes down to P.E.Ds, man, don't we, the people, really need to decide if we're going to keep the same energy when it comes to these fighters? Because it can't be okay to dismiss and, you know what I'm saying, just allow this one to just get away with whatever and not say anything and turn the other cheek, and then turn right around and discount somebody that is, quote unquote, you know, making greatness or whatever, and somebody like Canelo to always ram it, you know, always stick it to him for past transgressions. I don't know. Maybe it's something we need to decide. You know what I'm saying, dude? Like, where do you stand on P.E.Ds? If your fighter come up and he or she has an adverse finding with a P.E.D, you know, what's your reaction? You just like, do you wait and see? Do they get up? You know, wait till they get absolved? And I held off judgment on Connor Benn until it was confirmation, and then after the confirmation, and then the suspension, and then, you know, it's this vibe for him to actually come over here and fight in the States, because we're not sure what's going on with him over there. So I'm just like, do we support him? How long do we banish him to darkness? Do we support Alycia? How long do we banish her? I mean, like, you know, or do we just move on like everybody else? You know, or do we take a mentality like, oh, they got their slap on the wrist, so let's just let them, you know, okay, well, if the sanctioning body's going to approve it, then, you know what I'm saying, give me my pound of flesh. I don't know, you know what I'm saying, but I think we the people need to keep the same energy, because we can't just use it. And it speaks to the ones who, I remember when Fundora was getting accused of being a cheater and this and this and that, you know what I'm saying, in gloves. I was like, man, we can't do that, because when our favorite fighters get accused of it, much like how Earl was, you know what I'm saying, before, when people were talking about his chest, and that's always, you know, unfounded P.E.D accusations. And now, you know, Bud's going through it, and those same people that was always attacking Earl with it are being so defensive when people are attacking Bud with it. But I'm like, man, it's a slippery slope. So until somebody actually pops hot, we can't make those false accusations. But once something has been found and it's been proven, we gotta keep the same energy on all of them. Cause we be in debates now or conversations, and the minute somebody is like backed up into a corner, nowhere to run, they're gonna back up and they're gonna do a Hail Mary, and the Hail Mary is, well, and then they'll just rattle off one of the former all-time greats who may have later in their career, or at some point in their time career, tested positive, and just to try to wipe it away. You know what I'm saying? There's legends that have been accused, but it's no real proof on paper. But I just think we need to keep the same energy. Once we find adverse results, we the people need to look at these fires the same, have responsible conversation the same. What do you think? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be more solution oriented. I'm trying not to just, beat a dead horse. I did a lot of that. I found myself dipping my toe off in waters where I was talking about things and just getting more into the gossipy, the he say, she say, the banter, the competitive banter that boxing fans have. Now I'm guiding myself to try to actually put in fresh water and try to bring some solutions, and maybe I might spark an idea or get somebody else to start thinking along the same lines, so we can start standardizing some of this stuff, so we can really start changing the approach to boxing and the conversation surrounding it. Anyways, I would love to get your comments. You know what I'm saying? I would love to get your takes and your thoughts. Shout out to everybody who comment on my videos and come back all the time, like the Oracle, Victor Lee, Mac Martinez, Uga, Ghost, been chiming in. My main Apple Scrapple, Aaron Jones, Gideon, if I miss Levi, all my guys, Tim, Hustle, man, we salute, man, especially on the support of the According to My Old Head series. If you haven't listened to those are segments where I sit down, I talk to my old head, and we chop it up about boxing. He has a traditional approach. I have a traditional mindset, but I'm actually more in tune with what's going on as far as the business and the rapid pace, because this is all I do every day. So if you haven't checked out that series, feel free to check out that series. We had a couple good ones with Anyway. We're in one now. We had one with Shakur and De Los Santos. We had one with a couple. We even talked about Devin and Regis in the build-up. But we the people ask that we keep the same energy on this P.E.D. use, man. Let's be responsible. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. Peace.